I don't think that you should be ending human life. And it's interesting, right? Because there's a whole big argument about this in the States, but I don't think you should be ending human life if your primary concern is that, you know, oh, I'm too young, I need to experience more. Experience what? What, restaurants? How many restaurants do you have to go to?
Yeah.
How many times you got to go eat until you eventually realize you're going to eat shit? Yeah. I mean, like, I don't see what else there is worth doing.
Okay.
Well, what about in cases of rape?
Yeah, I think just we'll put that one. Maybe you didn't.
No, we can talk about that one. But every single time the abortion argument is brought up, this very specific case is brought up. Let's be honest. That's less than 0.1% of.
But in those cases, if they're raped, would you accept an abortion?
I think that if you're raped by somebody completely random on the street and a rapist did this to you, then yeah, I think the idea of an abortion makes a lot more sense. Sure. But to say that abortion's okay because women sometimes get raped, like that's a false. That's a false narrative.
In a specific case, you know.
It's in a specific case. But I think if you're with a man and you're having sex with that man and you get pregnant by that man, you should just accept the responsibilities like a fucking adult and have some life. And the thing is, as you grow older, if you don't have a bunch of children, your later years are filled with deaths as opposed to being filled with births and life. I think if you don't have a family, or you don't have children, as you get older, the twilight years of your life are just everybody you know slowly dying, and there's no new life injected. So I think it's very important to do, and maybe young people don't understand that in time. But all in all, I think there's nothing more worthwhile for people to do than have children. And if you can financially afford it, then that's what
a lot of teens or young people or even adults, they're suffering from a lot of mental health issues.
Okay.
And what's your advice to them?
The world is hyper competitive. If you're going to be a man who's going to sit and say, I'm just sad, you are always going to lose in competition to men like me. Yeah. And there has to be losers for there to be winners. I am tired of sympathy. Sympathy doesn't work for anybody. I'm not going to sit here and be sympathetic for people who say they're too sad to try hard and be their best. Guess what? Perhaps I was sad every time I did exactly what I was supposed to do and trained anyway. Perhaps I was afraid when I fought anyway. Perhaps I was tired when I worked anyway. This is how you get ahead in life. I don't have a fucking ounce of sympathy for these people who sit here and say, well, I feel this way, so I can't. Then don't do it. Stay down there. The winners are at the top, and the winners at the top don't give a shit about how they feel. We wake up and we perform regardless of how we feel day after day. So if I'm going to ignore my own feelings, I'm certainly not going to take into consideration anybody else's. Yeah. Why am I going to ignore how I feel and make sure I'm constantly performing regardless, flawlessly, and then sit and go, oh, but he doesn't feel good, so he's allowed to fuck up. No, you are not. You're not allowed to fuck up to your ancestors or to God or to yourself. You have to perform. This is what being a man is about. The baseline of masculinity is doing things you don't feel like doing. I can't comment on being a woman because I'm not one. But the baseline of masculinity as a whole is the thing that makes a good man a man is that he does what he doesn't want to do. He doesn't want to work and he works anyway. He doesn't want to go to war and he fights anyway. He doesn't want to get up, he gets up anyway. That's the whole point of it. We didn't want to die in the Titanic. Guess what happened? We died in the Titanic. You can't sit there as a man and say you don't feel like it. You're not allowed to not feel like it. You're supposed to do it anyway, regardless. Yeah. So when a man sits there and says, oh, but you don't understand, I'm struggling with motivation. If you are struggling with the motivation to be a winner, then stay a fucking loser. No problem. Stay a loser. Don't care. Because in my circle, there's no losers around me. Your energy is disgusting. I find it revolting. I don't like weakness around me, even near me. Even people coming up saying hello to me. If you're depressed, don't even shake my hand. I do not have time for losers on any regard. Winners only.
Yeah. If you had to choose money or love.
It's hard. It's impossible to it's impossible to choose. Like there's too many nuances to the question. I can't choose. But I do think that love is extremely important. Humans are social animals.
Yeah.
And you do need love. They say money can't buy love, and that's true. But money can help facilitate love. Yeah. Let's keep that in mind. I've never had a period of loneliness ever. Wow. I've never had even 3 days when I couldn't. Wow. Never, ever.
So
ever.
You've never really been alone in your life?
Well, no, I've never needed to be.
So do you?
I could be, and I'm saying I could take a week away and go by myself somewhere. I'm saying I've never had a period where I didn't have a girl who was in love with me ever. The goal of a son is to be a built-on, better version of his father, right? Yeah. So my goal as my father's successor is to be even more successful than he was, to be a better version of him. Yeah. I do my very best. I still think he was better than me in most regards, but in the one area I have surpassed him is clearly financially. But my father had a different mission, and he was focused on what he did, and he did a fantastic job of it. But yeah, he was not financially successful. I'm actually glad for that, because I'm glad I was raised completely poor, and I was raised broke poor. I wasn't raised, everyone goes, I was raised poor. No. I was raised completely broke. We were in a homeless hostel, and we changed country, and we were living with a bunch of Kosovan war refugees, and we had a really bad story. But that's been good for me. That was part of the life plan that God made for me. But yeah, my father was not financially successful. I am, and that's actually plaguing me a bit because I don't want my kids to be raised rich. So I have to find a solution for this. Wow, really, son? I'm so proud of you. It was just like, well, duh. It was always very much like that.
Yeah,
like,
you're gonna
hey,
make it.
Hey, Dad, I'm the most Googled man in the world, and I've got hundreds of millions of dollars. Duh, you're Tate. Whatever. Like it was, his expectations of me, but they weren't in an arrogant way. They were just so ridiculously high. It was just, well, obviously. So I don't think we talk much about the material successes of anything. My father would be happiest knowing that his bloodline is secure and that I exist, and my goal is to have 20 sons, and that's what he'd be happiest to know, and that he's done his job, and to know that I pay respect to him every chance I get, and I mention him as much as possible. And he did a fantastic job with me. The great thing about children is that if you do a good job with them, a truly exceptional job, they allow you to live forever. Because my father is discussed on the biggest podcast in the world repeatedly.
Yeah.
Because of me.
No, I love that.
Which is good. I'm such a fantastic person that they discuss my origin, which means my dad is discussed. So if I do a fantastic job with my son, I will be discussed on the biggest podcast of the future, and you get to stay alive forever.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the end goal, and I feel that I'm doing him justice and the ancestors justice and the last name justice. In fact, I know I am. Of course, he'd be exceptionally proud, and then he'd probably whoop me at chess, and then he'd go back to wherever he's chilling. So that would be it.
That's beautiful.
Okay, so the days of easy money are gone. I want to, even in the last 2 or 3 years, it was easy money mode. Every idiot you knew was making money. Every clown had made money on a pump. You know, a number of people who thought they were expert crypto traders in the last 3 years. It's so funny. I'm a great crypto trader. Everything went up. It all went up. What do you mean you're a great trader? You could have bought anything. You bought poo dick coin and made money. Of course you're a trader. Like that, all that shit's over, right? So all the easy money's gone. It's all cyclical. So all the amateurs are going to start suffering because now we're entering the realm of the professional, and making money is going to be harder than it's ever been.
Yeah.
All the free money's disappearing. You have to become very, very confident and competent. And that's one of the things about the last few years. Anyone who made money in those years, a lot of them didn't learn any lessons. A lot of them didn't learn how to make money. They just got lucky and just picked up a pump or caught some garbage, but they didn't actually learn anything specifically. The best way to make money in the world today certainly has to be something online. I think that making money online gives you absolute freedom of your own geography. It gives you access to the largest possible customer base, and there's 18 different modern wealth creation methods that we teach inside of the real world that will allow people to make money online. So that's going to be a nice, easy plug to go there. But it's interesting. It's an attention economy, and truthfully, without saying too much, you either need to be prepared to get a whole bunch of attention on you, like we're all doing here, or you need to be close to somebody who's doing that, and that's where a lot of the money is flowing nowadays.